This is John I. describing how I worked the 12 steps incorrectly and did not get sober, and then how I managed to work them better the second time, and I did get sober. This is about step 9. Worked incorrectly. Step 9 of the 12 steps. It reads this way. Made direct amends to those we had harmed, except when to do so would injure them or others. And I'm saying that from memory. I think that's right. The first time I worked the steps, I read that. I dreaded it immediately. Here, for the first time since I've gotten into the 12-step work, that I will be face to face in the real world with people who are not in the 12-step program. And even worse, they're people who, by my own admission, I have harmed. That's a nightmare to me. The first time I worked the steps, I read all that. And I rushed to the conclusion that what I was supposed to do was something like tell each person who's on my 8th step list, I'm sorry. Just apologize. I've harmed them physically, financially, reputation, or emotionally, and all I'm going to say is, I'm sorry. Well, that's an apology. It's not an amends. But that's what I did. And by the way, I didn't have many amends to make because my 8-step list was a very, very short list. Since I'd convinced myself I hadn't harmed anybody much, then my 9th step amends would be brief. No reason to dwell too long on the harms part. Well, as a result of not doing step 9 at any depth whatsoever, I did not get sober. Working step 9 incorrectly did not get me sober. What a surprise. After I looked more into step 9 and what it was originally intended to be, and I did have to do some research, look into those early days of recovery, read the literature more closely, look up, the word amends in a dictionary that dates back to that era, basically 1940. And what I found, and I'm just summing it up in a few words here, what I concluded was making amends is not an apology. It's more than an apology. How do I know that? Because when I went through that part of the big book that describes how to make amends, there are many details. I think it stretches on for 2 or 3, 4 pages. It's a long passage, and frankly, the fact that it was so long at first led me to believe, well, this can't be directions on how to walk up to someone and make amends. I could see it wasn't an apology, and it went on and on and on ad nauseum. And I just went back through to the best of my ability, bearing in mind, I believe the secrets, quote, of 12-step recovery are hidden, quote, in plain sight, if I'm willing to look for them. So here's what I concluded. And I could be wrong, but I've been doing the steps this way ever since. I approach the person and say, I'm in a program of recovery from, and in the big book it says I'm recovering from alcoholism. If I'm in a different program, I might say I'm recovering from a compulsion. Now, the Big Book actually warns, if you think the person is likely to be immediately turned off or offended by your opening sentence, then change the opening sentence to something that they will not get them immediately defensive. I think it says don't be like a prize fighter, meaning a boxer, who leads with their chin, meaning give the other person an easy chance to just punch you right in the jaw and knock you out before you even get started. So I will say, I'm in a spiritual program of wellness. And part of that is making right the wrongs of my past. Now, reading through the Big Book carefully and underlying what I found in each part of that amend section, the next thing I say is, I did the following. And then I name, was it the financial harm I did, the physical harm I did, the reputation harm I did, the emotional harm I did. Maybe I pushed you hard and you fell and hit your head, and I claimed you were just clumsy and it wasn't, I didn't push you or didn't push you that hard. I did push you. I did cause your injury. Or if it was a reputation, then I'll admit to that. I'll say, yes, I took credit for a big project that you and I both worked on, and I was wrong to do that. So I will name exactly what I'm making amends for. What was the harm? And I claim it. I did this to you. Then I say that was wrong. I'm sorry. And then I name my defects of character. I was dishonest because and then I give the details. I was fearful. I was afraid I would get fired if the truth was known. I was inconsiderate. I cared more about my family's well-being than yours, even though they're both equal. I was selfish, or whatever. I named the specific defects that I identified in step 4 that led to the harms I listed in step 8. And if I missed any of the defects of character, I make sure I name each one and specify not just I was dishonest, but I was dishonest by lying about this. I was dishonest by stealing this. And I'll go back over these in a moment, but I just want to explain what each part contains. Then I conclude, if there's any way I can make amends to you now or in the future, please tell me, and I will do so. And then I shut up. I stop talking. I'm done offering my amends. Next, whatever happens next is up to them. Because I shut up, the next person to speak is going to be them. It is their right, it is their privilege, it is their responsibility, it is their opportunity to respond to my offer to make amends. But I have spoken my offer of amends to them directly. Then whatever they say next is entirely up to them. I think it may be unexpectedly surprising what a gift that is to someone else. In their dealings with me, they know I shift blame, I'm dishonest, I'm inconsiderate, I'm selfish, and today, instead, I'm offering them the opportunity to decide, with no interference from me, what they do. That is a gift. That is my gift. It is a gift of love. I love them enough to admit I'm wrong and to offer to make amends if they want it, and to decide what amends are going to be. So I'll repeat the whole thing now at full speed. Now, Frank or Bill, I'm in a spiritual program of wellness. Part of that is addressing my mistakes of the past. I wasn't honest with you last year when that $500 turned up missing. I stole that money, and then I lied about it. That was wrong. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. I was inconsiderate, that they would probably blame you for the disappearance of the money. I was selfish because I frankly didn't care. All I wanted was to benefit me. I just wanted to get out of trouble, no matter who got into trouble. That was wrong. I apologize. If there's any way I can make amends to you, now or in the future, please tell me, and I will do it. Here's the part where, if you notice, I shut up. Period. Full stop. That's the full speed amends. It's got several parts to it. They are all taken from the big book. Notice the importance that the defects of character play in this. Now, there is an apology in there somewhere, but it is not the entirety of the amends. The entirety of the amends is to admit I caused harm, the type of harm I caused, when it happened, where it happened, so there's no mistaking it. The defects of character of mine that contributed to the harm, my declaration that it was wrong, my apology, and finally, my offer to make amends, now or in the future. The last part's important, because chances are that this person has never been spoken to this way. And because most people are conversational people, we react sort of out of reflex. We might say, oh, don't worry about it. Oh, I don't even remember it. Oh, you're making too big of a deal. It doesn't bother me. These phrases that jump out, they may be true, but remember, they deserve the chance to react the way they need to react. We are silent. And if they simply jumped the gun, got a little nervous, said too quickly, don't worry about it, you don't owe me any amends, we are the ones who leave the door open and say, if you change your mind later on and want to tell me, let me know. This is an open invitation, not a once-only opportunity. So, I won't get into what types of reactions that people have when I offer my amends to them, because that's not part of my actual 12-step work. The reaction I get belongs to them. It may be a gift to me, but it belongs to them. to get a heartfelt reaction from someone is theirs to give. Now, I just want to point out, when you go to a 12-step meeting and you see those 12 promises written on the wall or read during a meeting, in the Big Book, those promises start to come true while we are working the 9th step of recovery. They start to come true as we make amends to other people who are not in the 12-step program. I won't say more. 12-step recovery is not a program you study. It is a program that you live and work. But I know when I work the 9th step, the way it was worked in the literature back in the 1940s, I know I got sober.